Good evening and welcome to episode 79. As always, we will start with our gratitude attitude. So, if you would please gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, let all your tension drain away. Take one more deep breath. This time, completely let yourself go. Now, think of one thing that you're thankful for that happened in the past week. Once you have identified that, think about why you are thankful. And now let's set it free. If you're by yourself, say it out loud what you're thankful for and why. If you're with someone, tell it to each other. All right. So we talked about karma in the last, I don't know, 6 sessions. Today we're going to try to answer all your questions on karma to the best of my knowledge. I don't know something, I'll let you know. I don't know, and see if I can figure it out. So that's the plan. Let's jump right into it. Who wants to take a stab?
Right.
Go ahead.
So before I put a question, I will admit that of all things we have talked about over last maybe, I don't know, more than a year,
Yeah.
one thing that I don't fully understand is dependent existence and shunyata. non-coherent existence, right?
Right.
But assuming, from what I understand, right, if everything has only dependent existence, nothing exists coherently and for real, how do karma persist across? How do these two theories gel together?
So that's a very interesting point. Somebody actually, I asked not this exact question, but similar question to my teacher. Is Buddha really, exist, right? Because that's also dependent existence,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the existence that we see, right, what we perceive is all dependent existence. But there is a universal existence called emptiness, the shunyata, if you will.
Mhm.
Okay. And that is the universal truth, meaning that everything is empty from its own side. It's not inherent, right? It's empty from its own side. But whatever action you do, you are doing in response to something which is happening, right? Which is a dependent existence. But the karmic imprint you put on, that lives on. That's the best explanation I could provide you. The karmic imprint we put on in this dependent existence lives on because it's our own reaction, if you will. Right? The
But
situation may be whatever, right?
right,
But
yeah,
our reaction to it is real. Our anger, like we get angry at something, we get upset at something, we
right,
get jealous at something, right? That's
yeah,
our reaction, our mind reacting to it. And that's real.
mhm,
So
right,
that leaves that karmic imprint, which eventually ripens.
yeah. And maybe in a context of a certain system, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? Because yeah, a system is established of interdependencies, and things have dependent.
Right?
But we also talked about you're never going to lose your karma, right? I mean, how does it persist if there's shunyata, right? If there's nothing inherent, how does it persist across birth and
So,
rebirth?
so, so shunyata does not mean nothingness. There's a difference between nothingness and
Right,
emptiness.
right.
Okay. Nothingness means nothing exists, right? And that's not what we are saying. We are saying nothing exists inherently,
And
right? So the way the karma persists through birth is what's known as your karmic winds. Okay. So all of us has what's known as a very subtle mind. This very subtle mind is what you take on from one life to another. And this mind, this very subtle mind that sits at your heart chakra, and it has no shape, form, anything like that. You can't see it, you can feel it, but it pervades. So its nature is to pervade, meaning that it can go anywhere. It doesn't have to be just in your body, if you will. And
mhm,
its function is to perceive, right? So it perceives things,
right.
and that subtle mind sits on what's known as winds of karma.
Mhm.
Okay. And that winds of karma, which takes that subtle mind from one life to another.
Okay.
So they call it karmic winds. The way to dissolve these karmic winds is there is a, and I'm getting a little bit much deeper than I want to in this preliminary session, but there is something called you have nadis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they call it channels. So you have this central channel, right channel, and left channel in your body. If you dissolve your winds into by default, your winds dissolve into either the right channel or the left channel. Okay. If you're able to dissolve through, these are meditators who meditate 20 years or whatever, but if you're able to dissolve your winds directly into central channel, then you are able to dissolve your karmic winds. At that point, karma does not affect you.
Okay. So,
Okay.
and that's
This
what
is,
that's
yeah,
the next topic we're going to talk about.
this is getting way deeper, right? I
Way
mean,
deeper.
for us to talk that, we need to cover a lot more ground before that, right? That, that's a PhD level course, if you will,
Okay.
right? And we are in infancy right now,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But there is a system to make sure that the winds of karma don't affect us. In fact, there is a not so deep system also. I mean, rudimentary for laymen like us, as to how to purify karma. It's not about not affecting, but at least how to purify karma. And we'll talk about it either next week or in next couple of weeks. I haven't decided what I want to talk next week, but maybe we'll touch that next week.
Okay.
Right. So we can at least talk about purifying karma. But what to your point about, how karma lasts from life to life. So these winds of karma inside this drop at your heart. And again, I'm very preliminary myself on this, but what they say is that there is a drop at your heart chakra, which is about the level of your heart, just in the center of your body. And that drops about size of the pea, hollow from inside. And that drop contains your karmic wind and your very subtle mind. And that's how the karma goes from life to life to life. Hope I'm trying to answer your question.
Yeah, no, I think I mean, yes, like you said, there's a lot more to learn in that. And I like I said, I mean, that's one theory. It is very deep, and I think, yeah, a lot more to read and learn about that. Inherent existence and Trinidad.
No, go ahead. No worries.
Yeah. No, but I think it makes sense.
Okay.
Like, the answer makes sense. But yeah, there's a lot more to learn.
A lot more to learn for all of us, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Neeraj, another question I was thinking it through this entire series on karma is, lying, stealing, killing,
right,
all those things. And I mean, we all are conditioned throughout our childhood to be a student of science, and you measure facts and understand the fundamental evidence-based understanding, right? You know that the human have evolved over a period of years and years, and some of those things are the way to survive, right? For example, in Mahabharata, Krishna and everybody, right, they had to kill certain Kauravas. Also, same thing, that in order to survive, we had to kill certain things, and we had to do all those things. How does this contradiction kind of fit in a larger scheme of science versus what we are talking through the karma? And maybe you might have done some research, but it's always in this conflict mindset that you have to do what you have to do. And many times in Mahabharata we talked about also, right, in our previous learning, that you can do one life, it can help 100 people, then that lie is not a lie, kind of thing, right? So there are exceptions, it seems, and it just doesn't. I'm trying to wrap my head around some of those things.
Absolutely. So let me answer. I think there are three different questions here, so I'm going to answer one at a time. Okay. Science and karma is not in contradiction, in my opinion. Okay. Science is evolving. If you look at where science was in terms of consciousness 100 years ago and where it is today, it's two different things, right? So science is evolving. Science is just trying to catch up. Science did not think about emptiness, which Prem and I were talking about just a minute ago. Now they are coming around to that, right? The dark hole, if you will, right? Black hole. In fact, I just saw some amazing pictures of that a couple of days ago. So science and karma are not in contradiction. Science is just catching up. That's one thing I'll say. The second piece I'll talk about is, what you said about Mahabharata and Yudhishthir, right? So Yudhishthir lied, right? And I don't know whether you know, towards the end of Yudhishthir's life, and again, this is all stories, like just like I heard this, where Yudhishthir goes to to the doors of heaven, and he had his dog with him, I think, and they say the dog can't come. You're welcome to come. A dog's not allowed here, or something to that effect. And like, well, where is dog going? So dog's going there. So he said, well, if dog's going there, I'm going there with him. Okay. And then he ended up seeing hell before he came back to heaven. Okay. And then he asked, why did I have to see the hell? And that's where that lie thing came about. That was the reason. At least that's how I remember the story. Okay. It's been I don't know, 40, 45, 50 years. So it's been a long time. But that's how I remember the story, that he did kind of pay for his lie, if you will. The third thing, which is more important, the most important point you said, is that if you have to say a lie to save 100 lives, right, then it's okay. So there is some wiggle room, if you will. That's what you're trying to make a point.
Mm-hmm.
And what I don't see that as a wiggle room. I see that as yes, you committed one negative karma, but on the opposite side, you have, if you saved 100 lives, right, you have, at least 100 positive karma effect, if you will, of saving lives, right? So on one side, you are saving lives, right, as opposed to killing lives, right? So that's a hierarchy is much higher than telling a lie, right? So that lie may affect you some minuscule way somewhere, but the lives you saved, that 100 lives you saved, is going to outweigh the positive effects of that, which outweigh the negative effect of that small lie. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah, makes sense.
So that's how I look at it. Again, this is my interpretation more than anything else. But to me, that's, I don't see it as a wiggle room. I just see it as, one thing outweighs the other one.
Got it. Makes sense. It seems like a ledger system in terms of
It
this.
is.
Have to keep of this, and in a way you are keeping track, and hopefully by end of your life you kind of measure your life working backwards from your dead body, and you say, okay, well, how many positive versus negative, and hopefully you will have more positive than negative.
See, and I agree with you, but the point, the problem with all these things happen is that we don't start reflecting until we are in middle ages.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so that's where this thing falls apart for us individually sometimes, right? Because whatever you did, obviously you can't undo it.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes it may be too late.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus
So,
whatever you carried from previous lives, right?
exactly.
That baggage may already be too high or too much.
Exactly. And that's where, I truly believe in this thing we discussed, is this tendency, right? Karma ripens in different ways, right? One, it can just ripen in where you take a life, but then it can ripen in, tendencies. And I think that's where we have the biggest opportunity to correct ourselves, meaning that I may have tendency to be angry at someone or anyone, let's say, right? If I can correct that, the tendency may still keep coming up because that's my past karma. But if I can correct that, then at least I'm not adding to that, right? So, whatever tendencies you may have, I mean, we all have certain negative tendencies we kind of tend to repeat, and hopefully by now we know, right? And if we can make a conscious effort to recognize that, that's the first step, that, hey, this shit showed up, right? And then, try to avoid whatever negative pattern we may have. I think that goes a long way, because I don't think everybody does everything all those negative karma. I don't think everyone does every one of them, right? But we all have this tendency to kind of cling on to one or two negative patterns, and if we can avoid that, to me that's the lesson
Yeah.
I'm taking.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, just while you were talking, I could think of 2 or 3 tendencies I have, right?
Yeah.
The buttons, as we usually call it in our day-to-day lives, like don't push my buttons. And
Yeah.
there are these things that you immediately get irritated at. So,
Yep. And my wife had a very good slogan on her WhatsApp profile once. Says, what other people do to you is their karma. How you react is your karma. Right. So hopefully we can be mindful of that.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I have one more. We want to just keep going?
Yeah, let's keep going. It's just 4 of us. If we want to continue, we can all continue. It's all up to you. Go ahead.
So this is more in current times, right? So does karma justify anti-socialist behavior or capitalistic behavior, right? I mean, I can use karma as an argument of what I have and what my conditions are a result of my karma. Why should I work on rebalance and socialism, or why should I accept socialism?
So karma, you don't have to accept socialism, right? I'm as capitalist as they come.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, if you know me, yes.
Right. But my point is that whatever you have, okay, I grant you that it is thanks to your past karma. I have no quarrel about that, right?
Right.
But there are people who may be suffering around you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can help those people with your resources, resources you have are only good if they are useful to someone else.
That is correct.
Okay. Otherwise, it's just hoarding, right?
Yeah, but that I agree with you. But that's what I do because I want to do, right? It's my giving, it's my charity, or
Exactly.
my sharing,
right?
Versus socialism, something is forced upon you, right? So if everybody in this world believed in karma, right? So that's social fidelities become real. Like everybody tries to say what I'm doing or what I have is a result of my karma, and nobody has right to question that.
Well, I think we become this individualistic society in the past 100 years, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even then, if you look at history of this country, okay, majority of the good work was done not by government, right, but by philanthropic and religious organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this country, this is we talked about this. It is the most generous country on the planet Earth, right? We give $300 billion a year. That's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
You can run countries with that kind of money. Yeah. And that's because the roots are such that you want to help your neighbor, right? Mm-hmm. It came out as a Christian thing, which is fine. Then the Jewish Family Services picked up, and then there are a lot of philanthropic activities. So the government involvement in people's lives, that's where the socialism comes in, only came in last 90 years after the Great Depression.
Right.
Okay, it's essentially the results of Great Depression, where we started Social Security, right? Then we added Medicare, and then we added this, and then we added, but all of that happened in last 90 years, right?
Right.
Before that, it was all, the religious and philanthropic organizations helping our neighbors, right? So what I'm saying is, if you are fortunate I grant you through your past karma, let's say, right? No help of anybody else on this planet, okay? Even then, right, when someone's hurting and if you help them, right, that only adds to
your good
your good karmas, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and that shows compassion, right? One of the things,
Mhm.
compassion is very important in this journey towards spirituality,
Yeah.
right? And no better way to show compassion than people who are around you who are a lot less fortunate than you are.
Right.
So I don't see socialism there, right? I don't, like, when I go volunteer on a Friday morning, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if the guy next to me is a Democrat, Republican, Christian, Jewish, Muslim.
Yeah.
I don't care, right? White, black,
Mhm.
they are all there so that the kid won't go hungry over the weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing socialist about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that
You
make
know,
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that explains. I mean, I completely agree. So compassion or giving as a wishful thing just adds to your karma, and everybody must do. Right. So.
And one thing I want to emphasize, this has nothing to do with karma. One thing I want to emphasize is that giving your money is one thing, giving your time
Time
is a lot more important,
a
in my
lot more
opinion.
valuable.
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah. One of when I was visiting in India, I was doing the Vipassana course, and a lot of kids came out, definitely 18 to 25, 30 years old. And we'll go through in the detail of those things. But one of the things I actually, uh, most of the participant is, after 10 days of not talking, when we talked, a lot of kids were hurting, right? And hurting where, when I say hurting in terms of whether they get so much social pressure from their parents on either do study hard versus, oh, you haven't done this properly, this feeling of inadequacy.
right.
And I had a chance to talk to a lot of them, and there was a genuine feeling of compassion coming from everybody towards certain things. And at some point of time, I kind of asked myself this question about how do you show compassion to the folks where where it doesn't seem like you're talking them down or something like that, right? Like how do I genuinely tell them that I do care about you, I do want to solve your problem. And your brains always go for solutioning, and when somebody talks to you, but there is a subtle way of showing compassion. And even in United States, the same thing happened when somebody goes through divorce or somebody through, and we just don't, it's very hard for us to show compassion in a way that is going to help. And it is a learned process, in my opinion, and I'm working towards that journey. But I wanted to see your point of view, Nirobhai, is how have you done in your side to show compassion without making them feel that you feel sorry for them?
So you made a very interesting point in there, or comment in there, that your mind goes to solving problems, right? Because we are wired that way for some reason. I think those of us, especially are from Gujarat, we like to solve problems for people, it seems. But to me, what I've learned is that they just want an ear. Okay,
Mhm.
you hear them out, right? And just give them, ask them. What I usually do is, if I listen to them and I ask them question which makes them talk more, right? Rather than giving any solution, or you know because when I start giving solution, I come across as know-it-all, right?
Yeah.
And that's the last thing you want to do,
Mhm.
right? So I just want to hear them out, right? So yeah, I'm here for you. And then the second and third time they talk, then we can start talking about solution. But you know usually you're absolutely right that your mind wants to go solve problems. All this person wants is a year, right? If you lend them a year, I think that goes a long way in terms of compassion. And then, of course, if they need something, right? If they have a physical need, then do provide that. Like if they're hungry, give them food. If they don't have shelter, find a way to get them shelter, right? They need clothes. I mean, that's a material need, if you will. If that's there, of course you do that. But other than that, just lend them a year. That's all I'm trying to do lately.
Got it.
One thing you mentioned about this kids, as to they don't, they have this pressure from their families, they feel inadequacies or whatnot, right? And that's a product of last maybe 300-400 years, right? Since the occupation by Britishers, when we became, we started measuring our success differently,
Mhm.
right? Our success didn't used to be material, right? Like, I don't know, I mean, if you read history of India, you will know that Brahmins never cared for a single penny, right? They
Right.
weren't greedy like they are today. Right?
Mhm.
They were just there to promote knowledge, right? They were there for the right things, and people just took care of them. So, we learned a lot of, in the name of progress, and we progressed a lot, right? uh, I mean, the material progress which has happened over the last 500 years is unquestionably amazing. But the peace of mind is how we paid for that material progress, in my opinion.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think same thing. It's a different. We've gone through our version of rat race, and I see the same rat race going into 20, 21 years old, and they come to the workforce. You coach them, mentor them, and try to wrap your learnings with them. Hey, fast forward 20 years, and you will find yourself in my position.
Yeah.
You want, this and that, and you want to give that thing, and I felt like I feel like there should be a mandatory course somewhere in your 20s or something like that, so that kind of understand the essence of life. And maybe this is something, as you said, it comes at a midlife, and then you kind of start thinking it through. But
Well,
if I
there are schools in India, Sapan, which have started. These are specific schools, like Sadhguru runs some schools. This Gujarati guy, I forgot his name, he's running some schools where they are promoting meditation, peace of mind, and whatnot at a very early age.
That's pretty good.
And as opposed to everything else we learn.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the results are going to be. They're still in infancy, but I think that's probably what we need, is to teach our kids, and obviously too late for my kids. um, they're old enough, but hopefully at early age, where you know what, let's just sit down and do meditation for 5 minutes every day, right?
Yeah.
Nothing religious about it, just calm your mind down, especially
Yep.
with young kids. You guys kids, I mean, these kids are on screen probably 8 hours a day at least, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I've been working on Anapana, which is the way we call the breathing. I'm trying to, if Sayoni can pick up a couple of those things. It's very hard. But there are schools in New York who does that the same thing pretty regularly, especially in some of the neighborhoods that are struggling.
yeah,
So, yeah. Um,
that's very good, and that's what we need. So
yeah, no, just basic foundational meditation, as you said. How do you find your happiness and your peace and harmony at very early age? Um, so
we never put value on that. That's the problem,
yeah,
right? And hopefully we'll start putting value on, like, we teach math and we teach English and we teach history. We should also, put value on peace of mind. There's you can't put a price on that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
And I think you find happiness in early age because there is no pride, there is no ego, there is no
exactly,
attachment to image.
exactly.
They don't care because I've seen my kids.
Yeah. And if you
And as
teach
you
at that
grow,
age, Rashmi, right,
yeah,
then that would be amazing, as opposed to what we are teaching them, that hey, go get a great job and this and that, another thing, right?
yeah. And Rashmi, to that point, these kids grow up grounded. I
Yeah.
think it deters them. I don't know if we just had one incident in the school where the kid was completely agitated to the level where all he needed to do is just take a 5 breaths, right? Calm his brain down.
Yeah.
And one escalation to another to the level where it was not needed. And if we had a couple of good people who know our meditation practitioners who can just talk to the person and says, take a deep breath, 5 breaths, calm your brain down, and maybe that will help pretty much anyone who's agitated at that time. So
I don't know. It will be hard because I think what happens is, and I'm talking just about myself and I don't want to judge anybody else, but when we get agitated, I think we lose that awareness. And that time is just so hard because awareness is everything, right? It's so hard. I mean, if somebody can remind me, breathe or something, then maybe I can.
yeah.
But I just lose it, like, because the awareness is gone. And they say anger is temporary insanity, right? It's madness. And I don't know if
yeah,
huh?
I hear you. And Rashmi, one thing I noticed is once you keep practicing meditation, you have a better control. And I felt it today. Somebody said something in a meeting today, right? Very offensive to my team. And I was in control of that. And I pretty much, if I was not doing a meditation, I would have said something really nasty to that guy, created a bad karma pretty much. But day I was able to control it. I was able to control my emotion because I knew that his action or that words are not going to agitate me. And I think I would have not done a year ago, right? I would have a big glow up in front of pretty much my team. So just give you some example.
Yeah. And
Actually, you are correct. Yeah, sometimes when we meditate, because I don't know what happens, non-meditation, and we lose it easily. At least I'm talking about myself. And when we meditate, some power comes. And yeah, even if somebody offends, then you have that power to um, like just not react, I guess, and respond. And yeah, you remember to you still have that awareness. Maybe I haven't figured out myself yet why sometimes I'm calm and why sometimes somebody else takes over me. You know, I haven't figured it out, but I in front of Nirav, I'm saying I don't meditate regularly. So maybe that's why.
no, I think Rashmi, if you're calm, more calm than you used to be, then take that as a win, right? Because this is a journey. It's not going to happen overnight, right? Uh, other day, there was something, I don't know where I was. Dara and I were somewhere, and I made a comment about somebody doing something, and she says, "Put your meditation hat on."
Exactly. I was blown away. I was blown away because I know from my own personal experience, and I say it over and over again, and I forgive myself because that anger, the moments of anger that I have done stuff, I really regret, right? But
Yeah,
now I know when I see somebody, and I don't know, I don't want to comment on Hollywood or anything, but I do want to state that whatever happened with Will Smith, you know what Denzel said? Denzel said, who are we to condemn? And I like so
yeah,
crazily agree with him. I'm like, that's the height of that you have achieved,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
You have achieved because you are not judging.
yeah,
And yeah, and I feel sorry for the guy because the whole world is sending him so much pain and negative energy.
yeah.
Right now, when he needs the most compassion and most support, everybody's sending him because when somebody's angry, they're in so much pain. They need
Absolutely.
that love and compassion like so badly at that moment. And that's when we reject the person, I think we fail. I think, yeah. And then say, who are we to condemn? And so I say that line to myself, every time, anytime I have to judge somebody, I say, who am I to? Like, who am I? Because I have done this.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right, Rashmi, because if you look at the division in this country, right? And some of my meditator friends, right? Sometimes they get agitated about one ex-president, let's just say, right? And I say, guys, where's your compassion, right? I mean, this guy, this guy needs more compassion than anybody else in the world, right? So you're absolutely right. We need to somehow, when we are judging, remind ourselves that we are all living beings and all of us need that compassion. So if there's no other question, that's a great transition to today's meditation, actually. Ready? Any other questions? Hello?
Me.
No,
No, none for me.
no, we're good.
Okay. All right. So today we're going to do this loving kindness meditation. I think it's been almost a year since we did this. So as always, we'll start with settling at our heart. And then once we clear our minds, we'll begin with this loving kindness meditation. It's an intentional wish for other living beings to be happy. So we start by, bringing attention to ourselves and contemplate that, may I be happy, may I be loved, may I be free from misery. Then we think of a person who is closest to us and contemplate, may you be happy, may you be loved, may you be free from misery. Then we think about someone who we don't particularly care for, right? And think, may they be happy, may they be loved, may they be free from misery. And then lastly, we think about all living beings and contemplate, may we be happy, may we be loved, may we be free from misery. So that's in a nutshell what we're going to do. So if you're ready, let's start. Get into your meditation posture. Make sure your back is straight, spine upright, shoulders leveled. Gently close your eyes. Keep your mouth just a little bit open. That way, any tension you may have in your jaws will dissipate. Put your palms in your lap, right over left. Thumbs gently touching each other. Now, take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax all your muscles. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, let all your stress melt away. Take one more deep breath. This time, completely relax yourself. Bring your attention to the sensation of your breath at your nostrils. Feel the cool air as you breathe in. Feel slightly warmer air as you breathe out. Now, bring your attention at your heart. Imagine everything that happened before this moment melts into light and disappears. Things that have not yet happened are not real anyway. So it is just this moment. Enjoy the peaceful nature of this moment. Let this peaceful moment bring the next peaceful moment. Remember, there is nothing to do. Nowhere to go. Just enjoy. Now, contemplate. May I be happy. May I be loved. May I be free from misery. Now, think about someone who is closest to you, someone who you care a lot about. Bring their image in your mind. And contemplate. May you be happy. May you be loved. May you be free from misery. Now, think of someone who are not, who you don't care for, if you will, who you're not fan of. And contemplate. May they be happy. May they be loved. May they be free from misery. Now, think of all living beings. And contemplate. May we be happy. May we be loved. May we be free from misery. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. I'm going to stop recording.